Obviously, you've started the window pretty quickly with Saliba being wrapped up, Kolasinac, things moving with Ozil. I know in the summer, obviously, it was quite late with Partey getting that done. But do you think this January, your business, are you confident it's going to be done early and it won't be a last-minute things going in and out the door?
I don't know. To be fair, at the moment, the market is really complicated. The situation around every club is not easy, and to get the negotiation going as well, it makes it harder because you cannot be face to face. You cannot travel to another country and make a deal happen like that. Everything has to be through the phone or Zoom. It can go either way. To be fair, I don't want to tell you. I can tell you what I would like. Is on day one, have the squad like I want and the players out and in sorted. I think it's really complicated right now.
Obviously, the virus is making things complicated, but do you think as well it's complicated for players who might have families who don't want to move abroad or move to different countries when there's the chance of this happening? Is that affecting the market?
It's affecting everything. I think it's affecting the transfers, affecting financially. It's affecting as well as some players that probably are here and they've been stuck for a year here. Now they really realize I need to go back home. I need my family to be happy. I need my family to be next to me. It's a bit of a mixture, but players are experiencing different feelings that probably are new to them, and that's why I keep insisting that this virus as well is about the mental health, not just physically how you're feeling or the damage in there. Mental health is a big thing, and we have to pay more attention to that.
And just lastly, on Mesut, I mean, he's obviously going to potentially leave the club with basically not having played for a year. I mean, how much has this damaged his legacy at Arsenal if he leaves in this way?
I don't know what is going to happen, so I prefer not to talk about that. What Mesut is on the football club is unquestionable, and that will stay. It doesn't matter if he plays 2 more games, 10 more games, or none. I think what he's done is there for the records, for the history of the club, and his contribution. I think nobody can discuss that.
Thanks, Mikel.
Thank you.
Hi, Mikel. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about a player who doesn't often get talked about, Rob Holding. He sort of made his name in the FA Cup, and then that cup final a couple of years ago, and no one really thought he was going to do it. But in the summer, it looked like he was quite close to joining Newcastle. How much has he sort of come on this season and impressed you?
Yeah, well, it was almost a year ago when he came back from his injury. He had a period where he didn't play, and then he played against Leeds at home. And when you compare how he has evolved from there to now in a year's time, it's incredible. It's down to him. How professional he is, how much he wants to learn, how much he puts that into every training session, and then his character and his personality. And he's growing in every aspect. I'm really happy with him. And it's true that in the summer he came to me because we had a large amount of central defenders. He wasn't sure about how many minutes he was going to have, and we stopped him going anywhere because we knew that he was going to be an important player for us.
Because he's actually, I think he's played more than any of your central defenders this season. Which, I mean, I know there's been injuries and various issues, and I think you made him captain the other week. You obviously rate him higher than maybe people realise.
Well, it's what I see on the daily basics with him, as well the room that he still has for improvement, his age, and I really like what I see, and he has earned that right himself. It's true that there have been many other conditions for him to play that many minutes because we have injuries, we have other issues, but he has earned that right, and I think nobody can question that when he has played, he has performed really well.
I mean, and just briefly, I mean, you still have quite a lot of central defenders when Pablo Marie, Gabriel, a lot of players there. Have you do you know in your own mind what defence, when everyone's available, who will be your first choice defence?
Yeah, I think manager, we have a team there in your mind, but then to put it together and consistently put it together in this COVID world has been almost impossible to do. It's true that as well we have a lot of injuries, long-term injuries in some of those cases. For example, David, this season for 3 different reasons, he has missed a lot of games, which is not normal for him. Mustafi was out for 3.5 months as well after having his hamstring injury. We had different things, but I just want a really strong core of defenders, of central defenders, 4-5, and then generate that competition, and as well that cohesion between them, which is really necessary. A back four, in my opinion, needs that cohesion and that regularity of minutes to play, to understand each other, to improve that communication, those relationships, and we haven't managed to do that in that period, and now we've done it in the last 3 games, for example.
Just finally, in the last few games, you've gone to a back four. Is that really your preferred option? I know you played with a back five in the past and back three. But is the back four really the way forward?
Mark, if you asked me the first day, how would you like to play as a back four, I would say yes, but we have to adapt through the period that we've been in the last year for many different reasons. We've been successful with a back three as well. We haven't not been successful with a back three. Depends on the moments of the players, again, how we are and what we want to achieve in every game. But it's good to have the options to play in 2 or...
A few about Emil Smith-Rowe, if that's okay. We've spoken quite a lot about him recently, I know, but going back to the start of his time in the academy, he was in that same England, I think, under-17 team as Sancho and Foden and players like that who won the World Cup, I think. Would you place him in that bracket of player who can become a really influential player at the very top level of international football and Champions League and everywhere else?
I don't know. He has a huge potential. He really wants it, and he has a personality when he goes on that field to express and play the way he can play. To do it in a consistent way is a different thing. The boys that you mentioned, they've done it. It's true that they are ahead in the development phase because they play many more minutes and game in the last 2 seasons. But he's capable of doing that. Whether he's going to do it, it would depend on how he continues to develop, how he takes the chance that he has in front of him, and then how much we can help him to achieve that.
When you put him in against Chelsea, did you expect what you would see from him over the next 3 games?
I expect him what I wanted for that game, and that's it. And you have question mark, of course, because he hasn't done it at that level and that caliber of a game. But you see the potential, and I really liked, and we really like as a coaching staff what we were seeing. So we decided to make the decision, and it worked. And then, he earned the right to play the next game. He did it again, and he earned the right to play the following game. So I think we have to go game by game in general. I think with individuals and young talents even more, because sometimes as well it's time to give them a little breather and protect them, like we had to do with Gavi, because, for example, he didn't play for 7 months and he could not play 3 games in a row in 7 days. It's too much for him.
Because Emil's had a bit of an up and down time, hasn't he? He's had quite a few injuries and maybe one loan that didn't go so well or one loan that went better. Is he the kind of guy who needs a bit of an arm around the shoulder and a bit of a confidence boost to feel valued and feel that he's involved?
Who is that, Emil?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, certainly. Well, he was out for a long period with a shoulder injury. You know, he came back in pre-season. He looked really good, and in a friendly match, he got injured. He was on loan, so a lot of things have happened to him in the last year again. You know, and he needs to establish here. He needs to be settled here. He needs to really find his role and his position in the team and at the club, and that will help him to have a clear path of the direction that we want to take with him. He needs to have trust in him, because we really believe in him, and go forward and no fear, and go for it, because he has the quality to do it.
You talked a second ago about protecting players, and obviously the fans especially will see players like Emil and Bukayo are now making the difference in every game, and they'll want these lads to be first name on the team sheet, even though they're like 19. How do you manage that expectation around them? How do you protect them, and how do you kind of nurture that?
I understand, and I am the first one that you want to do that, but Bukayo is doing what he's doing because last year in certain moment he was managed and he was changing a different position, and people would say, why? He needs to stick to what position? No, he needs to get richer in his understanding of the game, and we need to really find why he cannot play on the right. No, he's always a left, and he needs to play left back or left. No, he can play as an attacking midfielder as well. And then we would see, the cohesion that he finds within the team, the position when he can be a game winner, which he has the ability to do. Where is that position? Where we are missing a kind of player like him, and then try to fill in him. And then we can give him the games, we can give him the consistency in a position, but first of all, we have to find that. With the mill, it's a little bit simpler towards his position, but as well with the game time, we have to manage that. The same with Gabi.
So patience is really important, isn't it?
Yes.
Sure. And just finally, we talked a lot about senior players setting an example to the youngsters, and we know that they do, definitely. But are there any ways in which your youngsters have also set an example to the senior players recently in their enthusiasm and how they go about things?
Absolutely, and you use the right word, which is enthusiasm. And that needs to flourish sometimes in a team when he's a little bit concerned and has some fear because of the results, because of the pressure. And I think they were really healthy because they were re-energizing to the team, and they were pushing the team into a different direction and a different rhythm as well. But as well, obviously, the young players need that solidity, that experience, that maturity that the senior players bring. And it's a good combination.
Thanks, Mikel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everybody. See you.